Hi, everybody, and welcome to Monday Night Live. I'm Laura Hopkins, and it is the Ultimate Balance Book Club Week of the Bladder. Not week bladders, but week of the bladder, just so everybody's clear. Man, these soundtracks for like boom ching, like some jokes, some dumb dad jokes. Is that what they call them? This week, we're going to talk about the bladder. Of course, I have a stack of other books sitting here next to me and oils. Of course, I put my oil on tonight, present time, because I want to learn new things. And even as I'm sitting here learning our teaching, I'm learning from you because you guys are putting things in the comments about your experiences and what you've done, as well as just interaction. And you guys are talking and teaching me as well. So one of the books that I brought out tonight is a book I co-authored called Nutrition 101 Choose Life. And this is an older version. Some of you guys are like, oh, that is an older copy, and I've spiral bound it, but it's the one that I would teach out of for homeschool. So I want you to see right there. That's what we're talking about. So if you look at that, you see the kidneys, and then you see the urethra, or ureters, and the bladder, and then the urethra. So you see what we're talking about here. The kidneys and the bladder are connected in this time of year. The winter time is a good time to work on that specific combination. And we've already covered a class on the kidneys. We're going to talk tonight about the bladder specifically. And so I'm going to show you a picture. We're on page 20 of the Ultimate Balance book. And here's a close-up that you'll see on page 20 of the bladder. And the lining, of course, you've got the ureters coming in, and then the bladder wall, and then the urethra. So it's all there. You can kind of see the urinary bladder is an elastic organ. It sits on the pelvic floor, and the bladder collects urine excreted from the kidneys prior to elimination through urination. The bladder does not have a good blood supply. It may become inflamed due to toxins in the surrounding tissues. So the surrounding tissues would include your colon, if you're a woman, a uterus, if you're a man, prostate. And it's difficult for conventional antibiotics and anti-inflammatories to reach the bladder. But we know God had a plan for that, didn't he? Alternative medicine recommends cleansing the surrounding tissues to help heal the bladder. And typically, when someone does a cleanse, you start with the colon, you start working from the elimination pathways, but colon is for feces, but you need to also be cleansing the bladder. So when you're doing a colon cleanse, you need to be focusing on also the bladder's work, because it doesn't get as much attention sometimes because it's everyone goes to the bathroom, right? Everyone goes to urinates, but most of the time people are like, oh, I'm constipated. That's the time when elimination gets attention. But we should be watching our urination for color, or lack thereof, really. If you're hydrating properly, you shouldn't have color in your urine. Sometimes when you've taken different supplements, you might have different colors of urine. When you eat asparagus, when you eat beets, all of those things, that's going to affect it, because what's happening is your body is taking what it needs and the nutrients, and it's excreting out all of the parts that it doesn't need. And there's color in the foods that we eat. There's when we have our bodies well hydrated, then it's not going to, your urine is going to be diluted. It's not going to be a really dark color. It shouldn't be a dark color. You want it to be as clear as possible. And you want it to also be clear. Like I said, clear, not cloudy or bloody or anything like that as well. Another problem that may affect the bladder is the weakness of the pelvic floor muscles. And if they're weak, the bladder can droop or drop, and causing incontinence problems. So we talked about constipation, but incontinence is an issue as well. And I think as we grow older, I remember the story of my grandmother. When she would laugh, she would a lot of times wet her pants. And as a little girl, I didn't understand that, but I get it now. I totally get it. Sneezing all those things that you go, okay, I've got to strengthen my pelvic floor, and there's exercises that you can do to do that. You can find exercises online, and Kegels are something that we were always told about as well, to help with the pelvic floor. It's crucial to exercise it to strengthen those muscles. And a tilted uterus can also impinge on the bladder. It can also affect um, other problems. If you have tilting in a uterus, and you want to be aware of, you've got movement in your internal organs. That's something you can talk to your doctor about. I know some people have those issues, but really strengthening the muscles around it is a really good way to affect the bladder getting back into its proper place where it's supposed to be. Low estrogen in the body can also weaken the tissues surrounding the bladder. A woman may think that she's experienced a bladder infection when in fact she just needs more estrogen, which would take care of the problem. Drinking plenty of water, like I said earlier, taking cranberry juice concentrate, something that's organic and clean and pure, and doing the master cleanse are all excellent ways to support the bladder as well. Um, Whenever we're looking at clearly the bladder is going to be in the root chakra. It's the base chakra, and that's where your sex organs are as well, and that is your grounding, your base, that base root chakra. Whenever we're doing, of course, the season for cleansing is winter. The meridian is the bladder meridian. So there's a couple of ways you can do this whenever, and you really can't uh, get to your bladder meridian by yourself. So you would need someone to help you with this. I'm going to show you the picture, but basically what it's going to do is go all the way down from the side of your face, so your nose right there, and it's going to go up and over your head and down your spine. I don't know if you guys can see that meridian there. Yeah, see how it goes down, and you look really close on your book, and you can see how it goes down, and it connects down to on your right leg. It's then goes around to your small toe. It begins at the side of the nose right here again, and you can trace it with me, and then it goes up and over the eye, the forehead, and down the back of the neck, and then it splits near the spine about 2 inches apart, and it runs parallel down the back, connects again below the rear end, your buttocks, and then it continues down the back of the leg and ends out the side of the toe. So they run parallel down and then reconnect. They split off at the neck, parallel down the spine, and then down, reconnect down below your buttocks. So that is the meridian. You can also, the Vitaflex points are going to be right here on your feet. So if you can see that point, that's that's another place. If you're by yourself, you can put your oils on that spot. Before I even knew about this book and really had a lot of understanding about Vitaflex, there was a woman in East Texas who called me, and all she had she bought a raindrop kit when she got started with Young Living. And back then, all of our kits came with 2 packages of Ningxia Red. So like sample packets. So she had a everyday oils kit and a raindrop kit. So I told her, I said, put the raindrop oils on your feet and drink your Ningxia Red and just let it sit under your tongue. Because she was about 1.5 hours, 2 hours away from me. And I couldn't get to her right away, but I said, do that. And y'all, it helped her. It basically took away the pain. If you've had a bladder infection, it can be very painful. So that's the starting point there. And then the neurovascular points are right here on the forehead. So you can apply your oils to those locations. What oils? Well, I love Valor. Release and surrender into the future and forgiveness. When we talked about singles, this one was a big one with kidney, and that's juniper. Sage and geranium are also good options. And of course, um, that's all for using those specifically on their meridian points and your VitaFlex points and your neurovascular points. But also to take internally, K and B tincture is the number one. And I'm going to talk about K and B here in a little bit as well. Also thinking about what's going on. What are reasons you should support the bladder? Now, all of us are supporting the bladder right now, no matter what, because we're not waiting for there to be an issue. We're going to go ahead and proactively take care of our liver, excuse me, our kidney and our bladder right now because it's winter, and that's the best time to take care of it. And the best time of day the time of day that your bladder is kind of recharging and getting the energy build again is from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. So why do we support the bladder? Here's why. Because if you might just start to feel pain after you already have an infection set in. You don't even know what's going on. And usually because it's not topical, it's, when you start to have a problem, it's pain that you're going to feel internally. So pain in or near the pubic bone, having dark circles under your eyes or puffy eyes. So that's your lymphatic system that's not getting fully flushed. Cloudy, bloody, or darkened urine. I mentioned that one earlier. Urine has a strong odor. Painful burning when you're passing urine. Reoccurring bladder or kidney infections, because again, if the kidney's infected and it dumps into the bladder, then you're going to have the tissues that are all affected by that same inflammation and infection. If you often have leakage or bedwetting, and then nausea, and then also urine output. It's a scanty urine output. So if there's discharge, those are all things that that indicate that the bladder needs additional support outside of this time of year, the winter, when we're just loving on it and giving it what it needs this time of year. So what are emotions that can build up? I love all this. Whenever we look up, I'm gonna open my Feelings Buried Alive app because that's always what we go to. This is the Healing Feelings app. If you'd have never had it, I don't think can you see that? The Feelings Buried Alive Never Died. That's the book, and it's a little app on the phone. And so when you look up bladder problems, it lists these emotions. So repression of sexual feelings, inharmonious male and female emotional relationships, sexual identity going unexpressed, unable to release things or ideas no longer needed, and then feels over concerned about surveil issues, and then yearning. So there's a lot of things there. There's a lot of things to unpack in that one. And you might look at it and go, oh, none of those resonate. Well, it may not be an emotional root then. Now we understand that our body can become susceptible to infection or can become susceptible to issues when there's a weakness in an area. So even though none of those may resonate with you right now, it could be a past emotion that has even weakened an area if you continue to have chronic issues in that area. So that's always something to consider. And then urinary infections, the emotions with that are putting blame on others for your problems or allowing another to irritate you. So the emotions that are listed here in this book are anxiousness, which we know, anxiety, be anxious for nothing, but with all things with prayer and supplication, make your request known to God, right? Holding on to old ideas, fear of letting go. This act says PO'd, pissed off. Isn't it interesting that we can use our words, say those things, but it's actually telling our body what to do? Have you heard someone say, I'm PO'd? I'm PO'd. Well, what is it telling your body to do? And then the other one is bent out of shape. So the opposite or what we would call the way out, is calm, relaxed, composed, release, courage, forgiveness, and surrender. And the affirmations would be: I let go of the past and welcome the new. I forgive easily. My life is running smoothly. I am calm and composed. Those are all excellent. Excellent, excellent. So when we think about how to support, I'm going to read to you about K and B. We talked about this during the kidney, because K and B stands for kidney and bladder. It is a tincture. And I'm just going to read it to you again because of the importance of the reminders. And in case maybe the people watching haven't seen the kidney call, go to that one next. K and B combines juniper berries, parsley, uva ursi, and essential oils in a tincture that helps to fortify the kidney and bladder against infections and other conditions. How do you take it? Some people, it's a dropper bottle, and some people take it in Ningxia Red. Some people take it in capsules. I have been taking it, just squirting it under my tongue, just right there. I do not refrigerate it. It has it's very strong. So for those of you who are familiar with mineral essence, it's going to mineral essence tastes delicious compared to K and B. And both are strong. So if you want to put it in a capsule, that's fine. If you want to put it in your Ningxia Red, and I always do this with my kids, I put a little bit of Ningxia Red and then whatever they're taking and tell them to down it and then chase it with all the rest of the Ningxia Red. So they end with a familiar and delicious flavor with Ningxia Red. So it helps to fight K and B. I have used K and B one time. I was on a mission trip and I took it with me because I felt like there was something going on with pain in my, actually was taking it as a pain in my lower back. So that's usually a kidney, not a bladder. But I went ahead and took it, and it is to fight against infection and any kind of kidney and bladder conditions. And I will tell you that after taking it in one day, I didn't have any more pain, but I continued to take it and use it over the course of that time. It was summer, so it wasn't winter, but you can take K and B anytime you need it. Why am I taking it now if I don't have pain? It's because I'm just supporting my bladder right now. I'm just supporting my kidney because this is the time of year to help give it some extra love and support as it's rejuvenating. So it has the oils that it has are clove, fennel, Roman chamomile, sage, and juniper. I'm going to read a little bit more about juniper out of my essential oil desk reference here in a minute. All right. So what does no, we know the kidney has a lot of jobs. So we think of bladder, it's like, okay, it's just a funnel, right? It's just bringing things in. But the kidney is actually, its job is to do a lot of filtering. It's filtering out water, salts, minerals. And so that means that what's coming through are things that the body doesn't need. So, we have stickers and signs on things at the doctor's office for toxic waste, right? Materials. Well, bladder's doing that job in a very important way. It's holding and storing that all of the toxins that need to leave that the kidney has filtered out. So consider the job that your bladder does and why it is so important as they eliminate waste. Okay, we're going to talk about juniper. And why do we love juniper? Juniper essential oil is antiseptic. Seems like an important one for maybe a toxic waste site. It's not a site, it's just a tool. The bladder is doing its job, and it's conditioned to do its job. It purifies and helps to detoxify the kidneys and the bladder. So it's not just affecting, and the oils we know aren't just going to go straight to the bladder, right? They're the kidney and the bladder, but they're affecting the uretas and the urethra. So all the parts of the urinary tract. And it can act as a diuretic to promote the excretion of toxins from the body. Sage essential oil helps to regulate hormones, promotes healthy digestion, has antioxidant, antiseptic, antiviral, and antifungal properties. stimulating to the gallbladder, which is going to be one that we work on in the spring, and supports healthy cholesterol levels. Roman chamomile contains antioxidants that promote healthy bile flow, which is essential in a component of detoxification in the liver. So you're getting a little extra help, a little shout out to the liver, another hardworking gland. And it has anti-inflammatory properties that can be beneficial for kidney stones and infections. Clove essential oil, we know it's highly anti-inflammatory, right? It's very high on the ORAC scale. The value of over 290,000 can be effective in stopping the growth of some bacteria and fungi, including, you guessed it, candida, at higher doses of clove. And we do have clove vitality. So you're taking it internally in K and B, but you can also add it additionally if you need that extra support. Fennel essential oil is great for digestion, it's great for intestinal discomfort, for the pancreas and liver function, and provides immune support and promotes excretion of toxins. And finally, geranium. It is great for hormone balance. Circulation, is a natural diuretic with anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial properties, and is a great choice for kidney and bladder support. So there you go. Those are the main parts of it. When we get down to it, I want to read just a little bit more about juniper because it's just such a hardworking oil. And a lot of times when you guys go to the farm when they are distilling for large groups, a lot of times it is juniper. And many times I've been to the farm in the summer for winter harvest. I'm not winter harvest, in the summer for convention. And they have juniper going. And so, and it is the whole tree. It's the berries, the branches, the twigs, everything. The juniper it actually is in Utah. And they do the majority of the steam distillation. It all is done there at the Mona, formerly known as Mona Farm. It's now called the Mount Nebo Farm there. Bundles of juniper berries were hung over doorways to ward off witches during medieval times. It's been used recently as a diuretic, and French hospital wards would burn sprigs of juniper and rosemary to protect from infection. We've already read that it's antiseptic, digestive, cleansing, a stimulant, purifying, detoxifying, helps with circulation of the tissues in the kidneys, and promotes excretion of toxins and nerve regeneration. I love it when I read something that's regenerative, a regenerative property in an essential oil, because to me that's we think about the healing power of nature. I was reading something today preparing for the liver, a class about the liver, and it was talking about how important the sun is, and getting sunshine, and you can do and the importance of the healing powers of the sun. And I always think it's fun to go back and look at Genesis and look at the fact that there was a sun, when we have when God said, "Let there be light," and then the sun and the moon were created. And then when you go to day 3 of creation, there's plants. But did you know the sun and the moon weren't created until after we had plants? So go read it. But there's "Let there be light," then we have plants, then we have the sun and the moon. It's interesting, huh? So where were the plants getting their power for photosynthesis? From the source of the light. So we know that everything in creation responds to the power and the majesty of our creator. And so I look at nature and think the way that the plants were created for us to use them to go symbiotically with our bodies, for our bodies to respond to nature. It's very powerful. You start reading in the Word of God about all of the plant references, and you just are so grateful that he created a garden and put us in it, not the other way around. So there was always provision for what we needed. Okay. So here's how you apply your oils. So we've talked about K and B and taking it internally. We've talked about using the oils on VitaFlex points for emotions and for your meridians. But application part, what if you're dealing with a bladder infection? I would say you can, some people like to dilute the oils before they use them topically. You're always welcome to do that. If you do that, it's just 1-to-1 with juniper. But if you don't need to, juniper is not what we consider to be a hot oil. So it's not high in phenylpropanol. Um, phenylpropanoids. It's not high in phenylpropanoids. It's highest in alpha pinene and camphor. It does have camphor. It has, but it does not have a bite to it like say cinnamon bark or an oregano would have. So it's not typically one that I would dilute with. Are used in with dilution, but you can put a few drops, 2 to 4 drops, on the actual location, so over the bladder, around the pelvic bone, and you can put those, of course, around your meridians. You can inhale it and be thinking of your bladder, picturing the bladder, taking it, of course, and then putting a compress over it. Some people you would do, we don't use necessarily, I don't use hot pads or heating pads. I don't want to use electrical components. But what I do is I take a hot towel and I wrap it inside a dry towel, and I can use that on top topically. And so the heat inside the hot towel pushes down, and those oil and water don't mix, and so the heat and then the moisture from that towel pushes the oils down further, and so it helps it very effective. But it also is very soothing to have that heat on there as well. So same thing with kidney. You could put the oils on topically, and you can have a compress on the back and then also have the compress on the front with the bladder. There's quite a bit of reference. If you go to pubmed.gov, you can go out and see the different types of studies that it's found in. Juniper is mentioned in Job 30:45 when we're talking about using juniper roots for meat. And then also the blends that have juniper are Digize, Dreamcatcher, Energy, Grounding, Hope, and Into the Future. Good ones. And energy is one that we'll talk more about. That's a great blend for your adrenal glands. Okay, well, I'm going to see if you guys have any questions. Thank you for sticking with me here tonight as I went through this part of the book club. Does anybody have any questions?
I don't have the book, but I was wondering if you could hold the book up that showed the meridians on the back so I can take a picture.
Sure, sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I will tell you, this book is out of print. So it's hard to find in a lot of places, or it's really expensive. So this week, is Lee Ching on this call? I don't see her on the call. She asked me where, she wasn't able to get the book. But if you go to Abe Books, they have had some. I went the other day and there was one out there. I think it was like $25. There was one on Amazon.
Oh,
It's all used books.
you.
So look for used books, for sure.
Okay.
Okay, so Selena said that corn silk tea is really helpful. I was talking about my using a kidney and bladder tea, and then lemongrass tea. hmm Those are fantastic. I was It's just interesting when you can go and kind of see some of the repeating. If you look at what's in K and B, and then you look at what would make a good tea, it's a good one. Oh, Adelina said thriftbooks.com has had it at times too, if you're looking for the book. Okay. Oh, I forgot to share you guys this one. This was about urinary tract infections and bladder infections. They're caused by bacteria that travel up the urethra. So it's not coming down through, but it's coming up from the outside. This disorder is more common in women and men because of women's shorter urethra. If the infection travels up the ureters and reaches the kidneys, a kidney infection can result. So you want to stop it right away. Again, the same kind of signals that it's happening are looking at what's happening with your urine, strong smelling urine, blood in the urine, stain during urination, frequency when you feel like you have to urinate a lot and only small amounts come out. Sometimes that also happens when people have been on antibiotics. You're more prone to an infection then. Bladder infections, known as cystitis or intestinal interstitial cystitis, is marked by the following symptoms: tenderness or chronic pain in the bladder and pelvic area, frequent urge to urinate, pain intensity fluctuates as the bladder fills or empties, and then the symptoms worsen during menopause. So the oils that are recommended here are oregano, mountain savory. So there's your spicy oils. Those are oils that you probably want to dilute on your skin. Juniper is, of course, mentioned. Tea tree, thyme, cistus, rosemary, and clove. So do you see the repeating ones? There's a lot of, again, it goes to inflammation, it goes to infection. What does your body need to help fight those? And so those are the oils that are listed here. Or we have vitality oils. You can put those in a capsule a couple times a day. And then also a warm compress with the oils, like I mentioned. I've also known people who would do, you have your suppository molds. If you've been
Mm.
hung around me long enough, you'll hear me talk about suppository molds. And you can use suppository molds to make a vaginal retention that can be like coconut oil with, say, juniper would be a good oil to put in there. And so with an oil like juniper, a couple of drops is plenty. You do not want to put oregano typically in a vaginal retention because that's going to be very hot in a very sensitive area. And so you place it just like you would a tampon or a Diva cup, and you can put it up in there and allow the tissues to get a hold of the oil that way. But the coconut oil in the suppository will help it be diluted. Same thing for vaginal infection is something different, but it can be used for those as well. Okay.
Laura, can
Yes.
I share? It's been a while, but I know when one time, gosh, this must be a few years ago, I started having urgency and kind of that little pain you feel.
Mhm.
And I used purification oil, rubbing
Oh yeah.
rubbing it around my belly button area, like in a counterclockwise area several times, and it seemed like it went away.
Wow. Well, you caught it quickly. Like you
Yeah,
felt it and you
right away.
like, not today, not happening. We're not putting up with that. Yeah. I think that that's really good so use what you have.
Yeah.
But purification's a great one because it has lemongrass in it.
Ah,
It
okay.
has some of those oils that we mentioned for
Mhm.
infection. So good job. Thank you for sharing that one. Okay, I'm looking to see if there's anything else here that I didn't mention. 87. Does anybody else have? Anybody else have anything to add?
It's not an oil, but have you guys heard of D-mannose? D and then hyphen mannose, MANNOSE. Gosh, what is it? I know that when my mom was having a lot of urinary tract infections, we got her. You can either get it in a powder form or capsules, and it's
Okay,
to bind the, what do you call it, the bacteria from adhering to the bladder.
gotcha. Not heard of that one, but that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I just was looking up some things in this book, another great book. Oops, my book cover come off. The Essential Oil Integrative Medical Guide, and it mentions lemongrass for infections, bladder infections specifically, because it's used for purification and digestion and antifungal properties. It's tones and helps regenerate connective tissue and ligaments. Lemongrass is another good one. It can be spicy sometimes in different people. It dilates blood vessels, strengthens vascular walls, promotes lymph flow, and anti-inflammatory, and it can be a sedative. So fantastic information there. Okay. Are there any other questions? Well, I will leave you with this. We're going to next week, we're going to join with Sarah Johnson for Abundant Monday, and she's going to go over the wellness connection. So you can host wellness connections, and she's going to talk about that next Monday night. I will not be on live. I will be watching from the gym next Monday. But then the week after, on February the 16th, we're going to go over the page 52 of the Ultimate Balance book, Hormone Balancing. And I'm going to be adding information from some conversations that we've had just in the last year, specifically around daily hormone essentials. And we're going to talk about daily hormone essentials with hormone balancing. And now that we've had, 9 months, or not quite even 9 months, 7 months maybe, of people using daily hormone essentials, we're going to hear some testimonies as well. So, and how people are using it. Some people are using it every day. Some people are using it, during certain times of the month. And we're going to help you guys understand, how to use it. So, all right. Any other questions? And we had Balance and Burn. The Balance and Burn the challenge started today. So if it's not too late, you get your numbers in, you can take your measurements and weigh in and start that. And then you could also do the reset. The metabolic reset is happening, and you can get checked in for the February metabolic reset. So there's a lot of great things that you can join and be a part of in the community, because we're always wanting to support one another as you're moving forward. So you're not alone as you're making these changes. We're doing them together. And of course, if you're on 7 Oily Days on the Facebook page, we're all talking about what we're doing to support our kidneys and bladder right now. And this is the time of year emotionally to focus on release and forgiveness and moving forward. So shouldn't we always be focusing on that? It's an encouragement.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions, you guys are a great audience tonight. And I will see you I'll be back in 2 weeks. Sarah will be here next week. And then this month's gather is thieves, because we're getting ready for spring cleaning. And so that's usually people thinking about that in March as things start to get warmer. So this month, by the end of this month, get your thieves cleaner, thieves household cleaner, get your thieves laundry detergent, your thieves dish soap, get that all ready, and get some containers. I'm going to put together a list of the ones that I use, and I'll get that sent out to you guys. And you'll be able to see if you can gather people in your home. That last week of February is a good opportunity to do that. You've got 3 weeks now ahead of you to get everything ordered and everything in time, and have people over and help them get ready with their spray bottles, help them get ready with everything that they need to clean for the spring. So good night, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.